Hello, folks, and welcome back to the 20th anniversary edition of World of Warcraft. I actually kind of like this look of the thing. It is rather muted compared to the very colorful version of like the WoW logo, but it's kind of classy in a way. There's some appeal to it. I like it. But yes, see the gnomes in the bottom right? The rest kind of mesh in well with the thing, kinda. But the gnomes in the bottom right just kind of look. Um, it just looks like the game model put into the painting. It it just looks like they put the game model of a gnome on a mount into it. It doesn't like the other is like impressive human paladin, a dwarven hunter, a forsaken warrior or something. The in terms of the gnome, it's just gnome on mount, and it really does look like a last minute thought. Given the accusations people have that WoW is just a young, a rip off of Warhammer fantasy, maybe it's a way of differentiating the dwarves of Warcraft from the dwarves of Warhammer by moving the technological might from the dwarves themselves to the gnomes. Could be. I just got a ping pong. This is actually kind of important, so I'm going to AFK for a little bit. If I can get out of the game. Come on. Told you to go on. Went into neutral rather than on from off. Yeah, folks. I've been gone for a little longer than I intended. But 47, 48, 49, 50. A little longer than I'd intended. But I got kicked out a while back, even before that. As you can see, like I was on like 22 minutes with the other thing. With the debuff, with the demon armor before, and I'm just on 19 now. So, like pretty much the moment it went AFK, it booted me. Hmm. Huh, they're really highlighted. I wonder if it's because of this thing. Ah, range slot. I was talking earlier about the wizard writing not being the best, and I was saying I gave the example of Jaina. Like how they like her people hated her too much for her just to get the title, and just freeing the fleet, just helping with the siege, wouldn't have been enough. Not in my eyes. What would have had to have happened would have been, her going further, doing more, personally helping people, and thought I saw the distortion on the edging on my screen where I was like getting like whiter or something. I've had this monitor for ages. I wouldn't be surprised if there's graphical damage. There is a spot over on the left hand side. See where Sticky Ichor is? Like half, somewhere on. See where Sticky Ichor is on the left? Somewhere there, but down, below. I think it's more under Ichor. Is a bit of graphical damage. I can't see it most of the time, but it's just a little white circle. There we go. I'll go get Samuel. But yeah, I feel like there is some good writing to Blizzard games, but like look at Shadowlands. That was a bastardization. They constantly retcon things. They don't. They put out lore books that don't make sense. They had a lore book put out that contradicts what's in the game. What you experience in the game is necessary canon. I've tried talking about it before, but I had misremembered some details, and that kind of botched what I was trying to say. Um, I was talking about was it Rend Blackhand? Yeah, him. I was saying that he died 25 years after the thing. That was me misremembering what the wiki said. It was 25 years after the opening of the Dark Portal. So this era of WoW, that's when he dies, and it's by the Horde's hand. They had the quest to do it, but Anixia, the one that the Alliance had a quest to kill, and the Horde may have had a quest to kill her. They presumably did, given attunement. She dies to someone else entirely. Even though we have the quest to kill her, we get through that whole quest chain. That's non-canon. It's actually Varian Wren that kills her in the comic. They'll have stuff that's canon, and it's like, oh yeah, this bit isn't canon, but the rest is. They'll put out lore material and then just retcon it in a heartbeat. Like I said, the Chronicles, they've gotten retcon before, even though they're meant to be the lore of the setting. They're meant to be like. Is that icon different than it used to be? I swear that's the a newer icon of it. But yeah, I'll just let the regen kick in. So, like the Chronicles are meant to be the lore of the setting. They're meant to be the thing. But they've gotten retcon before. What's in them has been changed. They've now said, oh no, it's as told by in-universe people, to justify them changing things, for it being wrong. So you're spending a chunk of cash extra on a game for lore that they will change at the drop of a hat. Rather than setting up a setting for themselves to give them broad approaches to introduce things and to set things up, they set it restrictive and then just retcon it as they feel like. Sure, I'll help you. I was taken aback at the random plus. Like, there you go, hearting back. Okay. But, like, one retcon that they did. Oh, yeah, that's where I was going with that. I just remembered something from earlier. But, What am I trying to say? I'm after losing my train of thought here. I'll kill this guy. Gives me a little bit of protection. Not what I'd intended, but it's fun. Okay, heading back. I'll grab some supplies, then I'll head back. So, oh yeah, one thing that they botched up in the Chronicles, I talked about this before, it was a while back for me, but I'm not sure how it places in the series. One thing that I'd talked about from the Chronicles was I'd seen it on a Bowler Gaming video. Um, um, what am I trying to say? Yeah, I'd seen it on a Bowler Gaming video. The Battle for Azeroth. They had it so that I think there's chests here anyway. Maybe not. No, I did find one before, didn't I? Over in the mine. I think some spawn in here, but there's too many people around. But Battle for Azeroth. The whole Alliance war campaign takes place before the Horde even land in Zoldazar. Even though so much of the Alliance war campaign is a reaction to the Horde landing in Zoldazar. The Horde invading and whatnot. The province to the north. The Horde invades there before they even land in Zoldazar, according to the Chronicles. The Chronicles is just flatly wrong. Apparently, the lore team had been gutted. Blizzard fired a ton of their staff, including members of the lore team, that would have onboarded staff and taught them about the WoW lore so that they could, WoW lore correctly. So here they are operating on, limited training and information, and so they got things wrong. And that's what people spend money buying. Like, Blizzard does not respect people's investment in their game. Like, people are spending plenty of money on their lore books, plenty of money on this stuff, but Blizzard does not respect that. They retcon it at a moment's notice. They rewrite shit. It's frustrating. Like, I can get that you can write yourself into a corner, but that's why when you're establishing a setting, you make it broad enough to work with. Certainly, there's issues when the setting goes on for too long. No matter how broad you've made it, you're going to run into holes. But if that's the case, then you bring it elsewhere. Like, you could have made something like Shadowlands work, but move it elsewhere. Let's say you make a new world to go to. It's been there's some weird ritual being on there, linking it with Azeroth. Someone on the other side is doing something, and so it's a new. It ends up being a new dark portal, and then from there you quest against that person who's trying to invade. They're doing something that it was a delayed reaction to the whole Well of Eternity, a delayed reaction to it rippling out. The energy's rippling out. They're trying to get to that power themselves. It's way late, but that's just how far they are, from it. And so they link with Azeroth. It's a new dark portal kind of thing going on. For a portal formed on both sides, like the dark portal, just through their power alone. And they're invading. And it unlocks a whole new world for us to explore and investigate. And through there, you see that this world has its own unique afterlife. You could have these realms and all this stuff. Its own magical plane. Rather than bastardizing the, everything that's been established before. It certainly makes it lesser, but you could do something like that. And then the issue with the jailer is there's no establishment of anything behind behind the Lich King, behind the Helm of Domination. There's no establishment of anything like that. But there was establishment of the Legion, but not, whatever the fuck the jailer was. There's no establishment of any of that. So there's no hints, no nothing. It was just something added in later on. And I know, I find that frustrating. So, they could have done something like the Shadowlands, but set it elsewhere. I suppose make it more minor. Like, I'm kind of thinking of like how there's the different elements for the different worlds. Like there's like the elemental spirits, like the elemental lords on Azeroth, but then there's the elemental spirits of Draenor and whatnot. They're different entities. So there could be, and there's the different fates. That this other world has its own place and it could be like the Shadowlands. They could even have heroes of Azeroth turning up there due to the link between them. That afterlife is kind of bleeding into Azeroth, maybe through machinations of a villain in there, and it's stealing the dead of Azeroth. So what you have to do is go in there and reclaim them, return them to where they should be. Can I be honest? I'm kind of sad now that's not actually the thing, because that sounds kind of cool. But maybe it's because I came up with it. I'm just like appreciating it for that. I'm liking it simply because it's, my own idea. There we go. No, nothing highlighting. But, yeah. Have you managed to scavenge up some useful items for us? No shame in reusing that which has been tossed aside. No one's going to give us any handouts. We've forsaken fend for ourselves. Good work, Optimus. I knew you weren't useless. Here, have one of the better items I've found out of the lots that have been collected so far. So yeah, you could do something like that. So you have champions being stolen from their afterlives on it. You could have Karn turn up. You can have Uther turn up. You can have different ones turn up being stolen from their afterlives because of the bleed over of the worlds, and or because of the if a villain is doing it, more directing it, because of their machinations. You could even have the jailer still exist. Maybe do more with him, actually establish him as a villain better, but establish him as an entity better. But the jailer could still exist, just as a being of this separate continuity, separate system. That way, the religion of the Tauren isn't completely destroyed. As I've seen a critique that characters are saying things to serve the story rather than themselves. Gracias. Pastrami. Hmm. That could be a guildie, because a number of guildies have made food-related people, food-related characters. This one's called Stale Crumpet. Loaf of bread. Not guildy there, but allied guild. But yeah, I am actually kind of sad now that's not the actual thing of it. But yeah, they could have done something like that. The ideas aren't unworkable, but they implement them in such ways that they just bastardize what they do before, and they don't care. They don't put in work into it to make it work. They just do it and move on. And it is frustrating, because I do like the setting. I think there is fun to be had with it. It is enjoyable, but they don't do enough with it. They don't, they just don't make it work a lot of the time. Okay, that could be yet another guildie. Well, it's a start. Took a few weeks or months to fully clean out the infestation. After that, we have to get down there with some torches and burn away the webbing. Done your duty well, Optimus. I'm sure I can find something else for you to do. You'll be happy to know we appear to be making progress in the mine, thanks in no small part to your efforts. Could now turn our eyes to other concerns. My detachment have reported, my scouts have reported the detachment of Scarlet Crusade setting up a camp southeast of here. The southeast is in the mountains, mate. It's northeast. Excuse me. The Scarlet Crusade is a despicable organization that hunts us, and will not rest until every undead, Lich King, Scourge, or no, is destroyed. We must strike first. Careful, their unholy zeal makes them dangerous adversaries. It was nice seeing that money just like, counting up like that. But yeah, Blizzard, like, they can do good writing and they can do serviceable writing, but so often they start retconning the shit out of things. So often they just don't show the care they need to their writings. The MMO scene just seems generally flawed, or generally in trouble. Like, Blizzard not, Blizzard not giving the care their game needs, just churning things out. Like in The War Within, they forgot it. There's 3 Windrunner sisters: Void Windrunner sister, Mage Windrunner sister, and Sylvanas. Shitbag Windrunner sister. All I can see right now is the meme. They look like they fuck human men. All three have a thing for a human guy. Or at least some degree of a thing in Sylvanas' case. So, uh, Windrunner, one Windrunner's sister, like the mage one, isn't because she's a mage herself, but she was married to Rowan, and it was one of the leaders of the factions of the Kirin Tor, the Silver Covenant, the Alliance aligned faction. She was the leader of it. They forgot she existed, and so they gave what should have been her thing to her sister, the Void one, the one married to Terralion. So they outright forgot she existed, and even when it was pointed out, as far as I know, they didn't change it. They didn't bring her back. They just shit out a shitty little retcon. Oh yeah, she moved away ages ago, years back, and that was it. So it's really frustrating because I think like there's a good WoW is a good setting. They can do great things with it, but they just don't. They just aren't careful with the lore. They don't track character movements. They don't. If they have a lore bible, they don't cleave to it. It's or it's not done up well. I don't. You don't know from the outside, but they just don't do a good job with it. So WoW is in this state. Then you look at FF14 with the constant fragrant mistranslations, butcherings, warpings, talls, balls. It was in addition solely by the lore team so they could have a swear in the setting. An in-world swear non-exist. Karma, forgive me, is a bastardization. It does make apparently does make sense from like what the Karma are. You know, the there was foreshadowing at the end of A Realm Reborn, like 3, 4 expansions down the line, and they just delete it. They just remove it. They mistranslate the Echo. The Echo. We have a boon from Hydaelyn, and then we have the Echo. And one of these things translates as transcendence. They use transcendence in as a description, a descriptive word, but they never actually use it as the term. So FF14, while it is a good game, it is terribly mistranslated to the point where you're not playing the fucking game, you're getting some utter bastardization. Sometimes they still have good lines put to it, like people have really liked some of what Godbirth said, but there's a lot of mistranslations. Like there's another bit where when you're just into Heaven's Ward, one guy goes off to help in a place, but the dude is a careless idiot. The local military leader there never refers to him as Lord in the Japanese version, never refers to him by name or title, despite his position as the son of one of the high-ranking families of the city. There was these heroes that helped establish the city, and this is one of the scions of that family. She never refers to him by title, despite being probably much lower rank, or at least lower rank than he is. Never refers to him by title. Completely just snubs him. She still snubs him in the English version, but she always sticks by title. She always refers to him politely, but she's always just, snubbing him. And then outright apparently says that, if you wanted to punch him, or I think it was punch him, she would take the fall for it. That's in the Japanese version, apparently. I think they cut that out of the English. I don't remember. So yeah, apparently it's endemic mistranslations in FF14. WoW has questionable writing in it. Both are riddled by microtransactions. If you want to really get into the auctioning in FF14, you have to spend like an extra tenner on the game. due to how they do it. If you want to then say Guild Wars. Guild Wars apparently has good writing, fun gameplay, but it's a free-to-play game, meaning it's riddled with microtransactions and some degree pay-to-win shit, presumably. I know, if you look at the DDO, that's riddled with pay-to-win shit. You literally get a higher stat level if you pay. You literally get extra stats on your character if you pay. You aren't just unlocking additional adventures, you're literally getting a better pool of points to draw from for your character's stats. It's like 20 something to 30 something, or early 20s, late 20s. There's extra points there. It could be 28 to 32, I can't remember. But you literally get extra stats there. The MMO scene, from what I'm seeing, is completely banjaxed. And it's rather frustrating. They either don't care, they're being sabotaged, or they're, it's greed abound. It's more than a little frustrating. Next level, we get Spell. We get the better Shadow Bolt. And I'll be sure to update it, rather unlike what I did with Gorik, where I was running through into Westfall using basic abilities. But chest or boxy boxes. So okay, slightly southeast. Okay, I thought it was more that way. But what was I thinking?